So, here we've got a wireframe model of the great city of Midgar, complete with massive steel plates suspended 300 meters above ground level, atop which stands a shining beacon of civilization. The whole system is sustained by the Mako reactors, which feed the insatiable appetites of the public.
The train will be passing through an ID checkpoint shortly.
This here is the train's route. As you can see, it'll take us around this main pillar. Look, we're about halfway through it now. They've set up a checkpoint here to scan the IDs of all passengers heading in and out. Date of birth, residential status, criminal history, all that and more is automatically cross-referenced in their databases. Public security wouldn't have it any other way. Heads up. Don't worry, our IDs are impeccable. What'd I tell ya? Have a little faith.
Hello everyone, this is Cosmic Kitsuname, and today I'm going to be doing a deep dive analysis on Final Fantasy VII. And the reason I decided to make this video is because the older I get, the more relevant things like this become. Because when I played the original Final Fantasy, and even the remake, I'm happy that the story was mostly kept intact and made even a little better in some areas. But sometimes I have to sit back and laugh a little bit because I find it interesting how such concepts mentioned play an avid role in what we see today. Now, when you look at Shinra as a company or an entity, everything they did, in a way, did it increase the quality of life of those around them? Yes. But they went about it in such a cartoonishly evil way that you have to laugh about it, because Shinra had gone to literal war with Wutai and every other place around it, and then they end up building the most advanced society on Gaia, or the planet, which causes groups like Avalanche to despise them. Many of the people who live in the slums also hate Shinra, but by the same token, many are not willing to leave. And the reason for this is because the mere act of being close to anything Shinra does ups the quality of life. And most people are not willing to sacrifice their comfort to go against what they believe or feel is right. And it can be due to many reasons. It can be health related or financial, etc. And Shinra capitalizes off of this, because to assume everybody that lives up in the upper echelons of Midgar is evil would be incorrect. But to also assume that everybody in the slums is also that way would also be just as bad or incorrect. There are many people that were born in Midgar, and some that migrated there for a better life. The they either ended up working for Shinra or they ended up living in the slums. And if they became affluent enough, probably end up working for Don Cornello at some point. And I'll get to him in just a moment because he's also the other side of the coin when you look at everything the president of Shinra does. Barrett often goes on these speeches about having to save the planet and needing to do A, B, and C, and this is bad. And it would make sense that he feels that way because of what Shinra did to his home. He then moves to Midgar and gets another home to which he's more or less well respected and frequents the bar of Seventh Heaven. And things may not be perfect, but there's a sense of stability in all of that. One that he did not really value enough because although he kept his eye on the prize, he neglected everything else. And this is what happens when you allow your personal belief to cloud your judgment and overtake all other forms of sensibility, to where even if your heart is in the right place, your head just isn't there. And I'm going to show this clip to give an example of what Barrett does, because oftentimes it comes off as him trying to convince himself, to which maybe that's part of the reason why he gives those speeches. But it is a very powerful pep talk, and one I found interesting, and the remake only made those scenes better. Because he has a reason, he has a plan, but like with Shinra, he went about it in a very one-track way. Here's the clip.
Okay, listen up, y'all. Everything Shinra has told you is a goddamn lie. Mako is the lifeblood of our planet. Those greedy bastards are bleeding it dry. Y'all gotta rise up.
Barrett, who are you talking to?
The people put me on TV. I'm gonna drop some truth.
Thousand Gil says they cut the sound.
This pump's sole purpose is to drain the planet dry. While you sleep, while you eat, while you shit, it's here sucking up Mako. It doesn't rest, and it doesn't care. You do realize what Mako is, don't you? Mako is the lifeblood of our world. The planet bleeds green like you and me bleed red. The hell you think's gonna happen when it's all gone, huh? Answer me! You gonna stand there and pretend you can't hear the planet crying out in pain? I know you can!
You really hear that?
Damn straight I do!
Get help.
Say that again!
I'd worry less about the planet and more about the next 5 seconds. Save the screaming for later.
30th floor. Doors open.
Heads up. Could be trouble.
Going up. Doors closing.
Right. Normal people work here too.
She probably called for help.
40th floor.
They're gonna be next.
Doors opening.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're safe here. About you, Mom? You okay? Good. That's a relief. What? Oh, they gotta be kidding.
Going up. Doors closing.
No, we haven't heard anything new yet. But they told us that Avalanche could attack again at any time. Just get somewhere safe,
Going
okay?
up.
Yeah,
Doors
about that.
closing.
A whole lot of normal people with families and friends work for Shinra. People just trying to support their loved ones as best they can. I know it's not exactly a revelation, but it's easy to forget.
A good man who serves a great evil is not without sin. He must recognize and accept simplicity. He must open his eyes to the truth that his corporate masters are profiting from the planet's pain. Only then can he redeem himself. I know you know this.
I do.
With that being shown, when it comes to Shinra, you really have to laugh. Or rather, I used to laugh a lot at how they did things because it was just really mustache twirling evil. And now I don't laugh as much because there are places that, to a less exaggerated degree, do function like that. And when people are screaming about change this and change that, what some people don't understand is even when you're within that, there are those that are still fighting for that. It's not like no one fights for it, but you have to be within the situation or in the building to have a greater impact. And even then, that might not be enough. Which brings me to the character Reeves. Reeves is telling the president of Shinra and everybody at the meeting that, okay, things are not going well and we need to do this, or we should probably do A, B, and C. And no one's really having any of it. It's to the point of why even be there, but he keeps fighting. It got so bad to the point where he had to fight even outside of the company. So now he's doing way more than what is expected of him to change the situation. And like Barrett, he does not like the situation, but what makes him different is he goes about it in a way that is more feasible, but less direct. In other words, he's using his skill set to do what really only he could do with the limited amount of resources or even time that he has before him. And he does this all throughout the story, especially in the original or any version that came before the remake. You can see him operating through Cat Sith and trying to mitigate what he can. And that would be the type of person you would want to run Shinra, because he's going to do what is logical. And even though he has his personal beliefs, he's still going to sacrifice even that to do what is logical for not only the company but the people as well. And this is what it means to be able to critically think. You're able to put aside your personal beliefs, whether it be for or against, to do what needs to be done, or to be able to analyze the information presented before you. And Reeves is able to do this better than Barrett. What makes Barrett and the president of Shinra somewhat similar is that despite the fact they're on opposite sides, the president has his own personal beliefs. And he has banked the entire existence of this company on finding the ancients of the city of ancients to acquire this infinite amount of Mako energy. Which is funny because in a realistic world, there is really nothing that is infinite. So the word finite destroys a lot of that. And this is something that I wish was talked about more, at least when I was growing up or in such classes. Because a lot of people like to operate on this notion that we have an infinite amount of resources with everything, and we don't. So whether you live in a very advanced society or in the middle of nowhere, that's something to consider. And before I show this clip on Reeves, I'm going to add another clip in there that I thought was funny because this is how Shinra handles PR situations. So it doesn't take a whole lot of research or even being close to them or in the building to know that they don't really care about their citizens very much or anybody that works for them. And the older I get, the character Reeves and everything he goes through hits home for me, because there have been many times in my own life to where I will have all of the information right in front of me and have people swearing up and down that that is not the case, while providing me with no other information other than I believe I feel, which is fine. But at the end of the day, there's something that needs to be done about this, or it eventually will be a problem, or that we don't have enough resources or manpower to do A, B, and C. And a lot of the times, you'll have people who hold a position above you getting pissed off at you and essentially playing the game of shoot the messenger when you are providing them with that information. And one of the most insulting and time-wasting things that I've ever had happen to me or even seen throughout my life is when you have someone like Reeves. He's an architect and overseeing the power company. He essentially has the checks and receipts for everything that's going down, and that's the person that everyone decided to quiz and shit test on specifics. It's really the weirdest thing to happen, and why I really hate debate me bro culture. Because not everything is a debate, not everything is negotiable. You have the facts, and even if you hate them or like what's happening or whatever, that doesn't take away from what it is. And this is why we have concepts such as theory and hypothesis, even when you don't have the specifics. To be able to critically think means that you are able to research the past, the present, and then make a formulated analysis about what the future may hold. Doesn't mean it's going to happen exactly that way, but it's being able to notice a pattern. It is not about right or wrong or good or bad. It's about better or worse. And to be able to do that, you have to have a good understanding of what could be better or what could be worse, regardless of how you may feel about it. And I really commend Reeves for being able to even stay with that company for that long, because I would up and just left a long time ago, or just dipped out. because that is exhausting to deal with. Here's the clip.
What could they
I'm standing
possibly be
inside the
trying to
gutted shell of
accomplish?
Mako Reactor 5.
They're working for Wutai,
As you
isn't
can
it
see,
obvious?
There's still a lot of smoke
Cowards,
rising
using
from the rubble.
spies so they don't have to break
While
the
fallen beams and
ceasefire.
other debris continue to
telling
hinder
you,
rescue
those foreign
efforts.
devils
The
are
fires
trying to
appear
start
to have
another
been
war.
mostly extinguished.
So if we help catch the bombers, we get a
over
reward
there.
or something?
That's the director of Shinra's Advanced Weaponry Division, isn't it?
Enough of that doom
Excuse
and
me, ma'am,
gloom.
but would you mind
We're
answering a
safe
few
down here,
questions?
right?
They're targeting reactors.
Can you give
No
us any
reason for
updates
them
on the
to
status
attack
of the
us.
reactor? What kind of
when are the
damage did it
trains gonna
suffer in the
start up
explosion?
again?
Are we in any danger?
Mako Reactor 5 has been temporarily shut down, and all fires have been successfully extinguished. The situation is under control, and the people of our fair city need not worry about any additional complications. We're in the process of conducting a full forensic investigation, but we suspect the device used was similar to that employed in the attack on Mako Reactor 1. The perpetrators of that atrocity were filmed making their escape. These agents of the eco-terrorist group Avalanche are currently believed to be in hiding somewhere in Midgar.
And given that this group has now attacked 2 reactors in quick succession, can they really be stopped before they strike again?
What do you think? Have no fear. Shinra will keep Midgar safe.
Okay, time's up!
I'm telling you, I saw him. With my own eyes, sauntering down the corridor.
We don't have time for this nonsense.
He was as close to me as you are now. The shock of it made me spill my tea.
Enough already! If there are intruders in the building, my men will deal with them.
But, Mr. President, sir, I swear to you...
Reeve. Sir, I have the damage assessment for Sector 7, and I'm afraid the figures are catastrophic.
Spare us the doom and gloom. Was there anything else?
Well, sir, I've also drafted a
That will not be
reconstruction
needed.
plan for...
Not with the Ancient in our custody once more.
With respect, sir, I don't see how...
Words, Reeve. Neo Midgar.
In their promised land, we will build a new Mako-powered metropolis.
Mr. President, we still don't know for sure that the Promised Land even...
Professor Hojo,
The test results were within expectations. The specimen is somewhat lacking compared to her pure-blood mother, but for our purposes, she should more than suffice.
so she can lead us to the Promised Land?
Well, Mr. President, that remains to be seen. I would like your permission to secure her cooperation through more forceful means. Forceful, yet gentle. She is a precious resource that must be handled with care.
Personally, I've never had a problem with torture.
My armory is at your disposal should you require anything.
I had something more psychological in mind. Better to scar the psyche than mar the flesh.
Proceed as you see fit. However, you will not make the same mistake twice. Is that clear?
If I may, Mr. President, I have an idea how we might mitigate the risks. Simply put, we could have the Ancient reproduce. In the absence of a second specimen, we would need to identify an alternative mate. I would start with candidates from Soldier. These would, of course, include S and G types. Quite frankly, there's no telling what kind of properties a crossbred specimen might possess. So, what say you all?
If there is nothing else,
Mr. President!
Meeting adjourned.
Please, sir!
Something stinks.
With that being shown, this brings me to the character Don Corneo. And even in the original, what I found very interesting was the fact that he ends up being one of the more honest characters in the game, despite being a villain. Because the moment you see him, you know what he is, you know what he's all about. In fact, he's quite proud of it. And too many times, people assume honesty is an inherent good. And I've learned throughout my life that someone being honest doesn't make him a good person. Because Don Corneo is a villain's villain. And hence, this is why Shinra deals with someone like him. Because the one thing that unites the slums and the rest of society is that entertainment district, of which he runs a good portion of. One could very easily call him the president of that. Because whatever someone can't get from either below or in the upper echelon, they'll go there. And on a weird level, Midgar stabilizes itself on a social level quite well because of that. And with this clip I'm about to show, I could have picked any of them, but this one best symbolizes everything Don Corneo is about, because he really is the walking symbol of a villain's villain, because his whole thing is just, I'ma do whatever to survive. And it would not surprise me if he grew up in the slums and he was eating out of a trash can or something, because he has no shame about it at all. And he is yet another aspect of society to where he's not really on anybody's side, neither Shinra or really even the slums. It's whoever pays him the most. Here's the clip.
It's Leslie! Got some urgent info for the Don!
Come alone?
Of course.
Really? Without my little avalanche kittens? I thought I told you to round them up and bring them to me.
Actually, it's them I came to talk about.
Leslie. I don't think I need to remind you why I'm down here. Spilling the beans to those 3 escape artists was a serious mistake. Now I'm on Shinra's shit list. The plate stunt was meant to be an unprecedented tragedy, claiming countless innocent lives. But those naughty little kittens organized an evacuation and screwed up the plan. I'll let you in on a secret. Shinra is going to abandon Midgar and build something close to paradise. I was invited to be a part of it. Dawn of a new and improved wall market. I'll be lucky to live another week. Leslie, I was gonna let you run your own place. Give you a piece of the action. What a shame. Pop quiz time, kiddo! Villains like us only divulge our evil plans in a certain situation. But what is that situation,
When you think you've already won.
Goodbye.
Think again, Don.
Huh? It's you.
You were talking about the Sector 7 plan. Keep talking, asshole.
Ah! Over there! Over there, look!
Don't try to bullshit us.
But that's the thing. It's not technically bullshit when it's true. Good, Abzu! Feel free to play with your food. Gone out.
With that being shown, when I think about Midgar, from a structural standpoint, if the slums wasn't there, and there was a greater sense of opportunity, then I doubt they would have had much resistance in the first place. But when you make yourself the only option, you generate a lot of enemies from that. And speaking of opportunities, if someone were to live in or around Midgar, it'd be very easy to come to the conclusion that somehow Gaia is overpopulated. But when you leave Midgar and you start going to these other towns and villages, you come to find out that it actually isn't. If anything, it created a gap to where everyone either wants to join Shinra or be part of Soldier, just like Cloud, for fame or financial reasons, which leaves these smaller places undefended and in decline, which is just as bad as having too many. When you don't have enough people, time management is something that you have to be more on point with. And when you have too many people, resource management is something that you have to be a little more on point with. Although both are important no matter what you do. But when you go to places like the villages or the city, the ancients, monsters pretty much overtook that place in battles, and it has everything that would denote people were living there, but nothing. Because in any type of society that you live in, you have to maintain a certain amount of numbers to keep that functioning. And when it rises or decreases too rapidly, the change can cause society to practically rip in half if they're not prepared for that. You can see this in examples of war, famine, and a bunch of other things. And this is why when Barrett goes on his Save the Planet speech, when the president of Shinra gave the counter argument, he needed to hear that, because just like with Don Corneo, not everybody is going to follow your sense of honor, your moral code. Some people have built up or lived a life with their own, or one that is bad, but they just don't care because it's been working for them. Until it ceases to be an option or stops working for them, chances of them not doing that is very low. And even with that, that requires incentive. Just like it would require incentive for someone to do something, it also requires incentive for someone not to do something. And That is how, funny enough, the human species tends to function. I don't look at it as rather inherently good or even inherently bad, it just is. And if people really want to live in a better world, maybe it starts with the person in the mirror first. It helps to have a decent track record. It helps to, on some level, practice what you preach. And even if you change your mind, it helps to acknowledge that too. But never give an apology you don't mean, or backpedal when there's no point. Because there are situations that are far too gone. And if it changes nothing, then you have options to consider. You might want to rethink some things. What Barrett did was essentially complete the prophecy. Anytime you have such a fixed opinion or an idea of how to fix something, if you're going to do everything and just spearhead stuff without little no consequence, then yeah, that's on you. And not to mention, that person becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy. So yeah, they destroyed his first home, and he said they were going to destroy the second home, and he created a situation where they did by dropping that plate, which killed hundreds if not thousands of people. And so regardless on whether somebody was on Avalanche or Shinra's side, you'd be pretty right to be pissed off with both of them. Both had relatively bad leaders. One didn't have the heart, the other one didn't have the mindset for it. And this final clip I'm about to show, I think wraps that up perfectly. Because that was poetic when they were talking. You get to see the two extremes of that. Because if you remove that source, what are you going to replace it with? And will everyone be okay with that? And if not, you're forcing them into a position that may or may not be worse than the last one. And that's what people think about when they have something to protect. So Barrett learns that in full. And I think the dropping of a plate was very silly, but it was a learning lesson for all the characters. That there is a weight to their actions. And there is a retaliation in things. But overall, Final Fantasy VII to me was a really good game. Because it found a way to combine a lot of philosophical elements as well as not only just say Shinra was evil, but show the impact of Shinra's actions on the world. And someone laugh and probably write off as an extreme case of environmentalism or something. And to some degree it probably would be. But it's always good to look at both sides of the spectrum, even if you're actively against it. And that's really what it means to be open-minded. Not about agreeing or even being right, it's about being able to see the other side and then still agree or disagree or whatever. Your belief or your personal feelings on things belong to you. Regardless of whether you change them, enhance them, amplify them, or whatever, that belong to you. But as far as the world and how that goes, you have to have either a position or the know-how, or you'll just end up spinning your wheel. So it's not so much about not caring, because people just assume the average person doesn't care, which may not even be the case. It's just not directly affecting them, or possibly might not at all. It's not the focal point of their life, and until you give them incentive or a good enough reason, it's going to be that way. But you can't force that, nor should you attempt to influence that. And that's just my opinion on it. But anyway, I think I've gone on long enough with this. I'd like to thank everyone that's watched my video. Leave you with this clip. Peace.
Hey! Help me!
Well, well, well.
Pull me up! I'll give you all the money you want! I have killed plenty of it!
Thing is, I don't want your money.
Please. Just let me live. Everything you want can be yours.
I'm a man of modest dreams. Dropping you from 70 stories up would get me damn near to good.
But not all the way. You want something more, don't you?
More than this right here? Talk to me again like you know me.
Barrett! Stop it!
You're gonna get on TV and tell them. Tell them what you did to Sector 7. That it was you who killed all those people. Then, you're gonna tell them the truth about Avalanche. That Avalanche ain't Wu-Tai or anybody's puppet. That Avalanche fights for the people, the planet. That we fight to hold Shinra to account for its crimes. That is Avalanche, the filthy sewer rats who brought down a Goliath. You tell them that.
Is that really all you want? For your names to be cleared? That is what matters most to you? More than shutting down the reactors? Than the future of the planet itself?
Huh? Damn.
You're lying to yourself even now. Truth, justice, honor, freedom. Vain indulgences everyone. Picture it. Picture a world without Shinra. Without Mako energy. A stagnant, impotent world. Now picture a natural disaster. Who would help the people? Help them recover and rebuild? You? With their old world ruined, will they thank you for the new? I'm going to give you a chance. One last opportunity to consider what your principles are truly worth. But bear in mind that time is of the essence.
And what about you, Mr. President? What are your vaunted principles?
What principles? Did you understand even a single word of what I told you? I know what I want, and I take it. I take advantage of whatever I can, and discard that which I cannot. There is no room for sentiment or guilt.
You son of a bitch! Hey! Anybody out there?
Barrett! I think I hear him up ahead.
Here goes.
And
Can anybody
push!
hear me? Marlene. Marlene. Marlene! Marlene! Biggs! Wedge! Jesse! God damn you! God damn you all! Marlene. Marlene.
It was us. We did this.
No. You can't think like that. Whatever came before it was Shinra that pulled the trigger today. Am I right?
Yeah.
Hold on to this anger, okay?
Barrett. Marlene's fine.
Huh?
Aerith found her.
Aerith. Is that the girl they took?
Yeah. That's her.
What the hell's going on?
I asked Aerith to find Marlene and take her somewhere safe.
And she did? You sure? Hey, where you going?
We learned to band together and endeavor, clasp our hands together. Man developed language, letters, an incredible advantage getting plans together. But would we stand the test of time against the planet's reckless climate and its angry weather? Spread the sails and head west against the gales and storms aboard Norse longboats with decks as dense as nails. Our aim was riding waves and finding, claiming strange horizons, invading islands, native populations slain with violence, enslaved and made to aim skyward, think of bigger things. Sphinxes, pyramids, raise them high in the name of different kings. The different things we've held sacred, divine, through places and times. The range of supplications and rites through ages we find. Nations arise as old civilizations crumble to dust, becoming strangers in time, waiting to die. Replaced in the night, the day breaks in the light, changes illuminating newer human faces as fights rage. The human race is facing the might of righteous states who would write the history books, even if it took a knife's blade to find the right page. Sengoku Jedi, men offered to die for the honor of a warrior's life. The sun's coming and we're watching it rise as a new era's here. It's as solid as iron. Pull the tongues from the fire, strike the hammer to the anvil, craft a weapon to bring an enemy to a standstill. The blacksmith is the wizard that gives us these powers. Devour enemies leaping down from the siege towers. The better the tech is, the lesser the effort to wreck it, the less time to see their eyes and feel sympathetic. Never regret it. A true knight never stays a true blade, never says touche, but would forever lay in Blu-rays of weathered glades to demonstrate his never-ending dedication to the crusade. Reformation through flame, and after the cremation is a new age. Time's quill is quick to spill its ink onto a new page. The faces are the same as when in days gone, but brains are cultivated, thus creating the Renaissance. We're still using steel tools to stay strong, replacing blades with greater trades, pen and paper song. Faith in God is tested, hiding in the desert. Men excited, then enlightened by the scientific method. Tried describing its expression by inscribing his impression. When applying it to heavenly bodies that everybody reckon must have been made by a creative or a greater force. Nature's author-faced examination, never faced before. The grace of horse and rider, replaced with wars and violence. Debased the laws of science, made the case for all the pious. Why is it progress always leads to loads of mess? The western regions spread across the globe and coalesced. Settlers spread disease with effortless ease. Was it reckless or did it just happen inevitably? Well, evidently we never can see through the lens of this century. But there's no retreating now, whether or not it was meant to be. The seven seas were sailed, navies prevailed, leaving trails of devastation in the wake as people wailed. A world of wonder, plunder, trading in the name of progress. But human nature's way shows we should expect no less. Oh yes, struck by the realization this is just civilization in the natal stages of industrialization. Trust me when I say that previous achievements are just child's play compared to this colossal school of thought. We set the world ablaze with fossil fuel we bought. It's an epiphany, giving us pretty much infinite energy. It's electricity. Edison, Nikola Tesla, different inventors giving us everything we depend on, whether it's engine, cinema, television or telecoms. Sending a message and spreading it on these unreal frontier channels. We develop the tech and then sell it on. The wheel travels round with the speed of a machine gun's barrels. Machinery's a meaner beast and we're still in the saddle. No need for cavalry, battle superseded that with ease. Allies and axes charging each other like batteries. A power vacuum allowing the super states to flourish. We distribute the food even if it means people are malnourished. Propaganda is the only view that you're allowed to publish, cause totalitarians are well aware of how to punish. Gunning down numbers countless for doubtless nothings that they've done, but that won't stop subversive insurgents from coming out with courage. Using their power to the fullest, whether creativity or demonstrating general relativity. Evidently when we find time to be efficient, Einstein nuclear vision can reveal the precision behind the blinds. Nuclear fission, despite the rigid physicists decide the mission is dividing, splitting atoms till a blinding light is given quite efficient. The divine right to mankind's plight is christened, a minor decision hijacked by politicians. But as long as they listen to the will of the people, treat all us brilliant equals, we can achieve more than we've ever conceived before. Leave this poor place, please explore space. Earth, she's a small base, even more awaits. I implore great leaders to lead with all the grace of which we're capable and be the author of your fate. Band together and endeavor, clasp our hands together as our ancestors have and stand the test of time forever.
Tu culpa.